welcome to all our visitors, our guests. This is Ishah Oasis. This is our fourth episode. And I am just happy, guys. I can't express how happy, honored, elated, and I am just feeling so blessed this evening. I have with me two amazing ladies, two brilliant, super creative, loving, kind, so many words to describe them. Yes, we have Kadene Gray and Alisha Williams. Kim Dixon is already in the house and she's saying, good night, lovelies. Yes. So this evening, as you can tell, we'll be talking about anxiety and depression. We're talking about mental illness. And these ladies will be sharing their stories. They have very interesting stories, guys. I tell you, as you know, Ishah Oasis is a place of hope. It's a place of refreshing. This is not a sad zone. This is not a place where you come to sympathize with persons who are in distress. These ladies will be sharing their stories of hope. I have Inspired for Purpose, Alimuz, Alika. We have our favorite Nigerian sisters who reside in the UK. We have, if you're on, just go ahead and say where you're joining from. I want to say hi to you. I want to greet you. I don't know. I noticed that Kadene, are you hearing me, Kadene?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, because I'm just seeing your picture. So Speaking Grace is saying, hello, host, greetings to the house. Speaking Grace, she knows her role already. She told me how to go about giving her, Speaking Grace, we're going to have to talk some more about that. But yes, she will be taking care of the chat zone. She along with Inspired for Purpose. Yes, guys. So this evening, as I said, we're here at Ishah Oasis. Femi is still in my head because that was the original name, but we changed it to Ishah Oasis. And it is a safe place for women to refresh from the deserts of life. Renee's in the house. My favorite Barbados lady, Jocelyn Cumberbatch, is here. And our super twins who will be joining us some weeks from now on the program. Yes, I'm speaking it right here. Welcome, everyone. At this time, I'm going to give my ladies the opportunity to introduce themselves. I can tell you, Alisha and I, we used to be police officers working in the same police station. That's where we met, in a place called Westmoreland in Jamaica, Negril to be specific. That's where the tourists go to have a great time. And we connected then. And when I came to the States some years ago, she was my able host. She was so good to me. And my baby, Kate, when I had Star, she was there for me. Alisha has so much about her. Guys, I've never seen someone who has worn so many hats. If I start to tell you about her, I wouldn't finish today. This one is creative, but you'll be hearing from her, from not the horses, but the beauty's mouth. And then you'll be hearing from Kadene. Kadene, she is an artist. She's very creative. These two ladies are very artistic and creative, and they're very intelligent, but you will hear. So I'm going to let Kadene, you're going to go first this evening. Kadene, she holds a degree that she earned at the UWI in psychology. And as I said, at this time, she's an entrepreneur. She left her job because she decided to walk in her calling of being an artist. Kadene.
Thank you, Hillet. So my name is Kadene Gray. I'm 30 years old, Jamaican. I just recently resigned from my job as a recruiter to pursue my passion, my purpose of being an artist, where I create inspirational and affirmative pieces just to encourage persons who probably have gone through what I'm going through or have gone through myself. I do hold a Bachelor's of Science degree in psychology, and I'm just exploring the world. I am taking it a day at a time, trusting the Lord, allowing Him to, order my steps as He sees fit. So, yeah, that's what I have.
Right. And Kadene, so you have had a brush with depression. You have had a brush with depression. And it's so funny because I know you personally, met you at church. We used to be in the same circles, that kind of thing. And Kadene, the world didn't know about I guess you came out with your rebirth because of your brush with depression. And I know her story is a story of hope, I'm telling you. Hi, Jasmine is in the house, Power of Prayer Ministry, huge cheerleader. Welcome, welcome, Sister Jazz. Kadene, I don't know. I was seeing you earlier, but for some reason, I'm just seeing your picture. I don't know if you can just see if you can fix that. People want to see your beautiful face. But
I'm not
as
sure.
I was saying,
I've seen my video, but
oh,
I'm not sure what.
okay. But Kadene, guys, Kadene came out the other day. People, she has been featured on social media, in print media, in traditional media because of her brush with depression. And she has been inspiring persons from all over because different people have been calling her up to tell her story of how she has, she overcome, she has, of course, if you know anything about depression, and I know when Alisha comes, she will tell us some more because she has studied extensively in that field. But if you know anything about, I was reading a quote earlier, it says that this is not sadness. You have to be there to actually feel what it is. It is not something you overcome, but she's coping because it's a mental illness. So Kadene, what I want you to do is to tell us a little about your story and your experience with this mental illness of depression.
Okay, so after sharing my story so many times, I've realized that my story is not very unique or specific to me.
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you there. We're asking all our people. I see them joining. I'm going to ask you guys to offer special prayer. I've been noticing from week, persons have been having some issues with internet, something we have never experienced before. But tonight, the devil is not going to get the victory because so many persons are here to be inspired by these beautiful ladies' story. So, Kadene, let's go again. Are you hearing me? All right. So we're gonna get that fixed. But we have Alisha. And as I told you guys that Alisha and I worked before. And Alisha, the same question is for you. You have had your brush with mental illness, one that a lot of people, even if they know about it, it's not spoken about. A lot of people, it carries a certain degree, like it's something that people will use to insult others. But since I've been following you on your YouTube channel, hearing your story, hear you explain it, I have a greater appreciation and understanding. So tell our guests what kind of mental illness you have been diagnosed with and how your experience with it.
Hello, my name is Alisha Williams. I'm 37 years old. So I am currently diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder, formerly called manic depressive disorder. So bipolar 2 disorder is a mental illness that causes dramatic shift in a person's mood, energy level, just the ability to function on a day-to-day basis. There's actually two parts to the illness. You have the highs, which are called hypermania, and then you have the lows, which are called hypomania. So whenever a person goes through the hypermania, number one, they have grandiosity, where it's basically you're thinking that you are meant to do something great and powerful. You have slurred speech, you have psychosis, you're unable to sleep, so you'll be up like 3 4 nights a week. You might get like maybe an hour sleep, but you're functioning. Some people might go on, spending sprees. They might get involved in risky sexual behavior. And then you have the lows. The lows is depression, but it's really more severe depression than regular depression. So the lows is number one, you may not have any energy to do anything. You basically feel like you're walking on the water. You may be lethargic. You may either sleep too much, sleep too little, You may gain a lot of weight or you may lose a lot of weight. You might feel worthless, hopeless. You might be beating yourself down. You may not want to do anything, go anywhere. Sometimes a lot of people go through situations where their homes are a mess because you don't feel like doing anything, you don't feel like talking to anybody. And there's this part where it's called suicide ideations. So I was diagnosed. I had had different diagnoses over the years because bipolar is really hard to diagnose. So I have been diagnosed from I was 12 years old. I have been fighting with depression. I had my first major depressive episode at 12. Then I had the second one at 15. Then I had a major one when I was in my 20s. So I was going through the situation. I was in a relationship with a man. He was involved in the occult world and we parted ways. He invested a lot of money in me and he decided he was gonna kill me. So I was going through a hell and I had a major break. And I was working with Ministry of Health at the time as a community health aide. And to be honest, the entire health department came to my rescue. They took me in. I was referred to a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and I was also placed on medications for depression, mainly antidepressants. I've always had an anxiety disorder. It's called generalized anxiety disorder. So I would
Hold,
have
hold
severe
on, hold
panic
on to me.
attacks.
Hold on to me, Alicia. Listen to me,
Mm,
guys. This evening, when I was talking to Alisha, I said I am gonna have to interview her alone because this lady has so many stories, and you can follow her on her channel, Alisha's as holistic, and I'm gonna put it in the description for you to get it later. But listen, she has been working in the health field, and Alisha, you are now a nursing student, right?
yes, I'm in nursing school. I'm actually working as a certified nursing assistant for the last 5 years, and I'm actually in school for nursing. I have a couple more months left before I become a nurse.
Hence how she's flowing with all this information, guys, because she is working in the health field and she know all these things. But obviously you are diagnosed with a lot of different
Mhm.
shades and degrees of, I mean, different mental health issues. We want to know, how
Yes.
do you cope? Because as I said, that this is not a space where it's not a space of sadness. And I brought her on today because I felt that she can be a source of inspiration to others. Because as she is one of the most, she has so many things going for her. She has so many things doing. And these mental illness, people have a way of branding them, thinking that these persons are crazy. And Alicia, when I met you, a lot of people are calling you crazy. They didn't know what you were
Yeah,
going through. They didn't know your story. And that's how we
yes,
got
I was
close
going
because,
through depression. Yes.
right. So a lot of times we see people like these, we do not understand what is going on. And we know that the time will not permit for us to get in the depth of all of this. But what we want to know, you have had a recent brush because as recent as a few months ago, you
Yes.
were on the path of, what you call it, suicide. You gave a term.
So in June, I was dealing with a brush with death. I was going through lung cancer, and I was struggling mentally, and I was literally, my bipolar wasn't diagnosed. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder at the time. And I was taking these antidepressants for my depression, but and regular antidepressant makes bipolar disorder worse. So I was dealing with suicide ideations. I was actually planning my funeral, how I wanted to be buried, who was going to take my kids. I actually wrote everything down. So I got to the point where I was unable to function anymore. So one night I was taking a lot of medication. So one night I was taking my regular meds and I just felt overwhelmed, and I took around either 670 to 100 pills, and I was just waiting to die. But you see, I serve a mighty God, and He was not done with me yet. So I got to my senses, and I was like, it's like the Spirit of God came upon me, and He was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I immediately called the EMT, and they came and they took me, and I was admitted in the emergency room. I spent one day, one night, and then I was transferred to a psychiatric hospital where I spent 3.5 weeks. And that's where they finally diagnosed me with bipolar 2 disorder.
Wow. All right. I realize that there's a lot because there's so much to share. I have two guests here this evening. I see a lot of people joining. I'm so happy to see Melissa Dunkley, Teacher S. Higgins, Speaking Graces here, as I said, Detonia McLaren. These are my sisters, people chosen by grace. I was on her live today. We have Sister Jasmine. We have so many friends that are here. I'm trying to identify everyone, but welcome, welcome, welcome. We also have a gentleman, Domain Garden. This is his third week joining, and I appreciate him so much. So here we have Alisha Williams and Kadene Gray. These are two amazing ladies. They are God's queens. And on that note, guys, I just want us to pause to fix our crowns. You know, on Ishah Oasis, this is where you come to be crowned and cushioned. And I want all my queens to go ahead and fix your crowns. We have so many issues that we face as women. Some of them we do not speak about. Some of them we are ashamed of talking about. That Tanya is saying that's such a powerful testimony. Yes, it is. I have been moved by these two ladies. And I said, you know what? I want them to come on because both of them have different issues that come under the umbrella of mental illness. When I was growing up and I heard the term mental illness, we think of people who are crazy. But here are fully functional, beautiful, amazing women who are doing amazing work. They have been diagnosed with depression and bipolar disorder. Alisha just went on and gave us a long list and she wasn't finished. I had to stop her. So many things are going on with her, but you know what? It has not stopped her. And so this evening, I want us, as we come to the Oasis, to drink and to refresh ourselves, to know that there is hope. It doesn't matter what we're going through. And we're going to go back to Kadene because we want to hear from her about her story that got her to where she is now. But I want to share 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. And I want all my ladies to remember this. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Can somebody say hallelujah? We are claiming
Hallelujah.
sound mind. We are claiming our power this evening because God has a special purpose for everyone who's joining this evening. So Kadene, are you here?
I am here.
We're not
Yes.
seeing your pretty face at all. And we were doing so fine behind studios. I don't know in the studios what's going on here. But you know what? Once we can hear you. Welcome, Sister Laura Paddyfoot. Blessings and love. So Kadene, you were this young lady going on with your life, got a degree, everything was going on. What led you to the point of your diagnosis? What was it what was your breaking point? I don't know. Tell us your story. Kadene? Wow. Kadene? Okay. So what I see, I'm still going to be trying. But Alisha is here. So we're going to have her speak more of her story before we go back to Kadene. So Alisha, you told us that you had a brush. And of course, you said that God had a purpose for your life. And what happened after you called the EMT? Tell us what happened after that.
So after I called the EMT, they stay on the phone with me, and they took me to the emergency room, and I was immediately diagnosed again with major depressive disorder. They placed me under a 302, which is an involuntary commitment, and I was, transferred to a psychiatric hospital the next day in the afternoon for involuntary hold.
Oh, all right. So here you are. I watch your video. That's where I learn your story. I follow you and I watch your stories. I listen to this. I've been on this journey. How was it for you with your family? Tell us how your family reacted to all of this that's going on with you, and when you broke it to them that you are diagnosed with bipolar disorder. How did they react?
So it was really hard for my family because the 3.5 week that I was away in treatment, I wasn't able to talk to my family. I had to speak to them over the phone, and they took it really hard. My mom took it hard. My aunt, she took it really hard because they couldn't hear from me. And my mother-in-law, she took it so hard. It was really, really hard on my family. And nobody really knew what the disorder was. They kind of felt like, for the rest of my life I'm going to be having, suicide ideations, and nobody knew what was actually, even myself, I didn't know what bipolar 2 disorder was. I knew depression, but I didn't know anything about the illness. I had to do my research, and my family also had to do their research to basically, learn how to deal with the illness.
So we know that there are persons, we're Jamaicans, but Alicia resides in the States. We know that in Jamaica, for instance, there's a lot of stigma attached to this kind of thing. And I know you told your story on Facebook. I know. And what has been the response generally from your extended family? And guys, when she speak of family, she is married with three beautiful children, and she's gonna tell us something amazing about her children, that she has done a research, something associated with this diagnosis. So how did you, like your family back home and other people, how did they relate to you?
Their reaction, their relation to me is the same because I'm the same person. I just have an illness and I have to take mood stabilizers for the rest of my life. I'm the same Alicia. I'm the same creative person. There's nothing different about me. The only thing different is I have bipolar 2 disorder.
People chosen by grace is asking, how did your husband deal with it?
Oh, so my husband, he to be honest, he deal with it pretty good. He has been struggling because I do have my mood swings, but he had to do a lot of research. My husband also work in healthcare. He works in the hospital, so he has worked in hospital all his life. He's now an anesthesia technician, so he basically have dealt with people who have had mental illness in the past.
All right. So we lost Kadene, but I see her in studio. And if she's hearing me, Kadene, I will add you in a moment. Let me just allow Alicia to tell her story because, so Alicia, you did a
Mhm.
video. This is the part that's, I said I wanted you to come on because I was blown by the information that you presented. People,
Okay.
friends, you're going to have to go to her channel and watch it yourself. She did a research, and in that research, she presented this list of persons, great people who we look up to, who suffered from mental illness. And in her research, it was borne out from her video that she did this, her presentation. She said that a lot of genius or people who we know in the world who we look up to have suffered from some form of mental illness. It would appear as if geniuses relate some way, somehow, some genius. Alicia, I think you would say it best. Go ahead and speak of that.
Okay, so there was the link between people who are genius that has a bipolar disorder. So extensive research was done, and the link was proven. So bipolar is known as the genius illness. So one of the studies that was done proved that children, because bipolar is genetic, so if a mom has it, more than likely one or all of her children might develop the illness. So children who actually have bipolar disorder And children of parents who have the illness tend to have a higher creative artistic level than normal children. They also tend to have a higher IQ than normal children. And people with bipolar are super, and also the link has been proven that people with bipolar, they have a very high creative artistic level.
And we want to talk about your creative and artistic level. So, guys, Alisha, she does so much. I said, how do you? She's so creative. This young lady, she makes oils, soaps, all kind of body care. She has been making weight loss pills. She sews. She is now embarking on a print business. She's printing shirts. Can't wait to get my shirts that I've ordered. She tell us some of the things that you do because I'm here. You know you best. Flower arrangement. Tell
Okay,
us some of the things that you do and how you come about doing
um, things
things.
about me. If if you can think about it, more than likely I can figure it out because I don't know how I do it, but I figure out stuff that most people find baffling. So I have embarked in different things. I do flower arrangements. I like silk flowers. So I have over 50. I've given away a lot of them. I make candles, soy candles. I do t-shirts, I do all type of different graphics. I have done, my weight loss pills because I've done a lot of research and I've been using herbs and spices to heal my body because in a couple of months I was on 12 different medications. Today I'm only taking two, one for sleep and one and my mood stabilizer for my bipolar. So I use healthy stuff to actually heal my body. And I I can't even think of all the things that I do. I do so
I
much stuff.
I
I
can
fix
attest to you.
computers. I can take a computer apart and put it together. Everybody who buy furniture from IKEA, they call me and I put them together. Name it, I can actually do it. And
And
I
you do
just try to
here.
do things and just perfect them.
And you definitely do here because when I was pregnant, you did my hair when I was in New York and you came to visit. Listen to me, it's no joke. She cooks. This young lady, there's
I
nothing.
make wigs. Yeah, I do hair braiding and I make wigs. I do locks and lock extensions. I've done lock extensions for years and I can actually make locks. I was cooking from I was 12 and I actually went to school for cooking. A lot of people don't know that about me. I went to school for cooking and I was working in tourism for a while, but I switched careers. I've had four different careers. I switched every couple of years. So I just challenge myself. Like if it's something, I always do it. Like that's
I
how
remember when we were
I can't
working.
stick to one thing.
I remember when we were working at the same station that you always had a project. And she has a heart of gold. She gives of herself so much. And we're gonna talk about that a bit. She's always giving. And I told her recently that listen, you're always emptying your cup. You need people to pour in you. Because when we were at the station, she was always so concerned about the persons in lockup. She would go out of her way if she saw somebody with a wound. I remember those stories, Alicia. You're always just looking out for everybody around you. Sister Jasmine says, glory to God, blessing to you, blessing on you. Thank you, the healing of the nation, Herb. Persons are saying you're so
Yeah.
talented, impressive. Judith Spence says, awesome. You're a beautiful, blessed, and wonderful. Yes, Alicia.
Thank
So
you.
here it is. We have Alicia because Kadene is still in studio and we're going to have her coming back. There's so much to tell about Alicia, guys. This evening will not permit. But this young lady is so talented and gifted. And so I want you to connect that talented and giftedness to what you told me recently about that part of you speak it about bipolar that could be the reason why you're always so active doing everything.
So, when you, a lot of people, when they go through the highs of bipolar, their brain is, moving at a higher and a faster speed. Their depth of processing is faster. So sometimes when I go through this hypermanic episode, I would just sit and create something. I can sit and write a book. I can do anything if I put my mind to it. And I don't know if it's the illness, but there's another thing about me. I have this condition called highly sensitive person. So it's just something that I have where actually I can't stand to see people struggling. So I have always done the most that I can to help somebody. And I've worked as a nursing assistant during the height of COVID. I was in the nursing home working with my patients, taking care of them, and everybody was asking me, "Oh, you're sick, you have health issue, but why are you here? Why are you doing this?" I was like, I can't leave my patient. Who's going to take care of my patients if I don't take care of them? So, I've always, I believe that I don't work for man, I work for God. So I'm always taking care. And even when I was in the psychiatric hospital, they told me that they're keeping me an extra 10 days because I have to learn to take care of myself. You can't take care of everybody and not take care of yourself. And they're like, you're not a super person, you're not a superhuman. You have to slow down, you have to let somebody take care of you for once. But I have not known how to not work. I have not known how to sit down and not do anything. I've always going out. I would give my last to a person.
Yeah,
You
and
call me and you have,
I know that
even
for a
if I
fact.
don't have it, yeah, even if I don't have it and somebody called me, I would just send them money. I just sent money to a bunch of people in Jamaica. I just sat down, I just felt like I needed to help somebody. And I just sent a couple of people in Jamaica money. I sent Barrels home every couple of months. That's who I am. It's who I've always been, It's a part of my life. And this is what keeps me going. Like, the more I do is the more blessed my life is.
So I want you to tell me, how do you cope when you're having the lows? Because of course you spoke about last year when you had that really low moment and you were considering or you attempted suicide. So how do you now
Mhm.
cope with that
So
when you have the
yes, I have learned about my illness. And that's the first thing you have to do. You have to do your research. So I have learned to identify when I'm going through hyperactivity or when I'm actually low. So one thing that I've done is, the Bible said, in order to be blessed, you have to be a blessing. So I have people like other persons that are getting in the hospital and they have illnesses too. I have a list of persons that I text them almost every day. I call them, I pray with them. That's something that keeps me going. And I also, have people who I, encourage to walk, because I do this walking ministry that I go to walk most of the time. So I have people who I take to the gym with me sometimes. Sometimes they be calling me, when you go into the gym. Yeah, or I take people walking. And I do herbal medications. I do a lot of praying meditations where I just pray. Like, when I'm having a really bad day, I go for a walk. And walking has a lot of benefits. Exercise is like medicine. It reduces these, it releases endorphins in your brain that helps you to feel better. So that is something that I have been practicing. Also, yoga and meditation is wonderful. Just sitting there and trying to bend your body in different shapes and breathing, it lifts you up, gets you out of that depressive state.
and I
I've
see you
also
dance.
done, yes, I've done everything, like, because when I know when I'm going through the lows and I have to push myself, a lot of people aren't able to push themselves. And one of the things that I've learned about this is a lot of people who are paralyzed by this illness mentally, they can walk and talk, but they just can't get themselves to do anything. This is an illness that you can go on social security for, but I refuse to, look at the negative side of the illness, because there's positive to having this illness. Many historical people have this illness. Many celebrities have this illness. There are a lot of successful people have this illness. So it's not a life sentence. It's just a mood disorder. It's like sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. Once you can identify when you're going through lows and work and fixing those lows, and once you can identify when you're going through your highs, that's the main part of the illness. And this illness is one of the most misunderstood illness in the world. Like, people look at people with bipolar and they think that we are some crazy, freaks in nature, and we're just gonna get angry and knock you out. No, we are not. No, we are not. No, we are not. The thing with bipolar is, let me tell the truth about bipolar. When I'm off my medication, I'm going to tell you the truth. So, and you might not want to hear the truth. So if you can't cook, I'm going to tell you that you can't cook. That's how it is. And people get offended when you tell them the truth. I may have something on heart for years, and when I'm off my medication, that's when I'm going to tell you. It's the truth. Yeah, and that's why people get offensive with people with bipolar, because we speak our mind when we're off our medications. But otherwise, we are okay. We are a lot of people are teachers, lawyers, doctors who have the illness, and we are all functioning normally.
Right. So, Alisha, I love that you say it's not a life sentence. And at this point, I have to pause and acknowledge those who are joining from Facebook. I forgot that I was streaming on the two platforms. I apologize. I tried it to balance both of them on a live before, and it was a disaster. But for those who are watching on Facebook, thank you for joining. And I have a very active chat here on YouTube. I don't know if I can ever catch up to it, because Speaking Grace, Jasmine from Power of Prayers Ministries, Joycelyn Cumberbatch, Breathe and Bloom, Kim Dixon, People Chosen by Grace, Judith Spence. We have so many people who are commenting. That's on the McLaren. All these are amazing people with ministries, people. I thank you so much for your support. I love you, my sisters. Thank you for being here. Thanks for those who are sharing this chat, because it's an amazing conversation. Persons are saying it, and I have to agree that this evening we're actually interviewing two people. I'll be adding Kadene back in a moment. Alisha, there's so much to say about you, We're going to have to do another session with just you. And I'm sure Kadene is a very interesting young lady that we're going to have too. I just thought, because both of them came under mental illness, I'd have them both in the house. But obviously, these ladies have so much to them that they have to have their own hour. So, Alisha, we're learning so much about you. Persons are asking questions. I see a question earlier that asked, how did you cope as a teenager? Because, of course, this is an illness, and you said it on I saw your comment on one of my videos when I was talking about I thought I was having a brush. It was not diagnosed with depression in January. It was not sadness, guys. I felt like I was in a deep hole. And it's because of that situation where I can be here so interested talking about this, because God said, listen, sometimes we have to go through something to be able to understand, not fully, but even have to create an awareness or to create an interest. And it's because of how I felt in January, where I have gone on my research and I observe. I have a lot of people that I follow, but I've been following you and Kadene with this illness. Don't want to call it an illness per se, but I mean, of course, that's what it is. But I admire you guys so much because of what you are doing. And I said, I have to have you guys on to inspire my ladies, because so many people are challenged with these kind of issues and they do not speak. And of course, Ishah Oasis is the place for inspiration. So, Alisha, you have been telling us so much about yourself. You have been telling us, I just realized I asked you about teenager. Tell us how you cope as a teenager before I get into the other things I want to ask you. Too excited this evening, guys.
So I have a passion for children and teens with mental illness. Like a lot of times we don't think that our children and our teens go through illness, but they do. They have so much more to deal with than we have to deal with back in the days. So there are certain signs. So my illness started when I was 12. That's when I had my first depressive episode. And at 12 years old, I had a major failure. I didn't pass my common entrance. And however, two teachers, they, took me under their wing and they helped me out of the illness. By the time I got to 15, going on to 16, I had another break because now my perfect Seventh-day Adventist family was now falling apart. My dad, who was this perfect, loving, kind gentleman, became, abusive to us, and it was just like a war zone in my home. So it was really hard, and I was struggling mentally. So at that time, you know what? I became an atheist. I was depressed. I took pills and I had to cope. So I started to do things like I started to smoke, and then I met this older gentleman that I was in a relationship for a while at 16 to 17, and he was my world. He was my everything. So he was the one who kind of got me out of that depressive state.
Wow. And we're just hoping that young ladies watching or hearing about this don't have to go down that route. And I believe that's why, because the person who asked the question, she's a mother. And I'm sure mothers want to know how, and you are a healthcare provider at this time. How would you advise a young person going through it, or even their parents, how to help them deal with it, how to help them cope with it?
So first thing you have to do is I told people that you don't need to be your children friends, be their parents. So you have to basically observe your children, observe their behavior, know their normal. You have to monitor your kids' social media activities, because a lot of things in social media, there's a lot of bullying. Monitor the friends that they keep. So if you see your teen is in their room all the time, they don't want to go anywhere, they don't want to do nothing, and they're trying to tell that they don't want to go to school. It's something that you need to look into. If you ask them, if something is going on and they're quick to say nothing, then maybe you need to pursue that conversation a little bit more. And even for the little ones, little ones go through, depression too. Because I had a 6-year-old who, committed suicide because they were going through bullying. So you have to basically sit down with your children, talk to them, notice them, know they're normal. And whenever there's a change in their behavior, you have to try to sit down with them, go around them, try to figure out what is going on with them. Because even with young ladies, there's this thing called sexual abuse, and a lot of young ladies are going through it and they don't want to talk about it. And that's a major cause of depression, major cause. So we have to be our children parents, not their best
Right.
friends.
And it's true, in the truest sense of the word, keeper. We are their keepers. We have definitely to invest more than just, spending and taking care of the basic needs. Taking care of their mental health is a basic need as well. And so we have the beautiful Kadene. She
Yeah.
is back here. Renee Ellis says, "Woo! Yay! Her video is back on. Persons are celebrating." Listen to me, Alisha. Alisha has been keeping the host for us, Kadene. I don't know if you've been hearing the conversation, but I didn't expect so much to come out. I know that I'm having two awesome women on, but I'm here saying this can't be the end of it. There has to be individual interviews with both of you because it's too much explosion in the house. People, Chosen Megru say, absolutely, you must be friends with your children. They also go through things. Inspirational Maria, I saw you earlier. So many people are here. I cannot acknowledge everybody, but I'm just happy that you came, the support. Thanks so much. Renee is saying, that's my sissy poo. And Cassandra is saying, virtual hug. So, Alisha, you're going to stay on because, of course, we're going to have you give your final word. And I promise people, we're going to get you back because there's so much for you to tell. But Kadene is here and we want her to tell us her story. Kadene because she has had a rebirth. And I'm telling you guys, I'm going to post on this when it's done. You're going to have to come back to this video to see the link I'm going to post. She has an epic video speaking of her rebirth. So inspiring. So tell us about your rebirth, Kadene, because we know that you have, you didn't share with us your brush with depression. What brought you to that place that you went?
Okay, so as I was saying before I got cut off, the after sharing my story, I realized that my story was not as unique. I mean, I think I had an idea, but it's not as unique. A lot of persons go through this, and my first suicidal ideation was when I was 11 years old, and it was when I was going through therapy recently that I actually remembered that because I suppressed it so much. That was the first time I had a suicidal thought. And then went through high school, I was fine. Everything was going on great in high school. After I graduated university and then decided, no, that I'm going to go into the real world, that is when it actually started to creep in. But I didn't try to acknowledge it. I didn't acknowledge it. I just, I kept moving from jobs to jobs to jobs, thinking that there was a void that I needed to fill, thinking that I wasn't happy here. There must be something else. But it was me who was needing a fixing. There were times when it would just feel this heaviness and all of that. But when it actually came, my major episode was at the beginning of the pandemic. As I had said before, I was working at a hotel as a recruiter, and then at the beginning of the pandemic, the hotel closed and everybody had to go home. And this was a time now where I'm like, all right, God, what am I supposed to do now? And I left this situation, left the job, coming into the pandemic, thinking, okay, I'm going to paint, I'm going to do what I need to do. But the uncertainty of it all, not knowing when this is going to end, it one day just come down, and I started becoming irritable. Normally, anybody who knows me knows that my voice does not go above a certain octave. I don't shout. I don't get easily irritated. I am a very calm Zen person. So the moment I realized that I was starting to get irritated easily, I started to have visualizations of how I was going to die. I started to have suicidal thoughts again. And the only thing that I could hold on to that was really and truly not allowing me to go through with it in the moment was thinking that I have a niece and I have a nephew, and I wouldn't want them to grow up hearing that their auntie committed suicide. That was literally the only thing. And I mean, I still felt for my parents and my siblings, but I was like, my nieces and nephews wouldn't know me. But I went through everything. Loss of appetite, sleepless nights, you're constantly exhausted. But it's like you have insomnia, and then throughout the days you get a little nap, so you're oversleeping, you're undersleeping, you're not eating, you're this heaviness, this darkness, nothing around you. You have a roof over your head, you have food to eat, but nothing around you make you feel like life is worth living. It's something that I realize that anybody at all can go through. And when you lose something, whether you lose a job, whether it's a relationship, whether you lose a loved one, it is easy for you to get stuck in the stage of depression. Because when you go through grief and loss of anything, you go through the 5 stages of grief. And when I was listening to your last week's episode, Dr. Grace, was it? She mentioned Dr. Grace Kelly, she was mentioning going through the 5 stages of grief, and people actually can get stuck in that stage. And if you've gone through a period where you're constantly experiencing loss and you're constantly experiencing some kind of traumatic experience, be it physical trauma, emotional trauma, it's easy for you to get stuck in a situation where you fall into depression. And sometimes I saw a comment earlier that someone says that people hide their truth, but it's not necessarily when you go through depression, and I do have anxiety as well. When you go through anxiety and depression, it's a case where I know I'm going through this, but I don't want to burden anybody else with it. It's not necessarily that you're hiding it and putting on a face, but it's like I love you so much. I don't want you to have to bear my burden. You
Mm.
know? So
Wow.
yeah, it's like it's something where I'm wrestling with this. I know I don't want to be alone. I know I feel as though I'm alone, but I really, really don't want you to have to go through what I'm going through. So I don't want to unload this on you. That's what my anxiety tells me. Like if you tell somebody this, it's gonna be too much. So the guilt is there, and the thoughts are there. No motivation at all to do anything. When we say anything, I mean anything. You don't want to take a shower. You don't want to clean your
Mhm.
house. You don't want to get up out of bed. You just want to be you just want to be non-existent. You don't want to exist. Because
Wow.
some people have the ideas of suicide, and I think that was the reason my therapist did not put me on medication, because she said that she's realized that I'm not at a threat to myself. I'm fighting to stay alive. So while I do have the thoughts of dying, of how I'll die, and thoughts of actually doing of committing suicide, I was not actively doing anything towards it. So I was not attempting to taking any pills. I wasn't trying to do anything that my thoughts were telling me. And these thoughts would come as I open my eyes in the morning, or
Wow.
as soon as I'm awake. Those are the thoughts that come to me, and as soon as I'm going to sleep, those are the thoughts that are with me. And it is a lot. And you said that one session won't be able to cover it.
It
Hillel,
can.
mental illness is so broad, and depression and in and of itself is really broad, because you have persons who are going to work every single day and they're functional depressions. Then you have major depressive persons,
Mm.
and then you have chronic depressions, and you have so many persons going, and then you have depression and anxiety, you have depression and so many other stuff. So it's very, very broad to take in. And because of my psychology background, I do have an understanding. So when the symptoms started to come in, I was able to identify and say, you know what, I'm gonna have to get help for this, because if I don't, I'm going to lose me.
Yes. Kadeen, listen to me. There's so much going on right now. I am just walking back. You ladies sharing so much. I said I'm gonna have to go back on the replay. For those who are on the replay, welcome. Thank you for joining. There's so much that we're learning right here. And I had this gentleman. I left his comment, even though there are so many other comments coming. Fix My Life TV. Listen to me. This is the guy that makes me look good. He has been here a couple times, and I don't acknowledge him as I should. He's my graphic designer. He's the guy who designed all my book covers. He is in my company. I told him once that he's my best kept secret. I wasn't going to tell anybody about him. But tonight I feel to be less selfish. I have to acknowledge you, Colbert. You are the man behind me, looking like she up to something. She's going professional. Love and appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining my live. You're always so supportive. Teacher Higgins, thank you so much. Listen, if I start calling name, we're not gonna stop. And we have these ladies; they have so much to share. Don't feel any way, guys, if I do not acknowledge all those who are here tonight. But I appreciate you. Continue to share. Continue to invite your friends to come over. Yes, yes, yes. Teacher Higgins say yes. Big up. You're so talented. That is the truth. Back to you, Kadene. So here it is. You're sharing your story. Beautiful. I mean, as I said, this is not a sad place, guys. Kadeen is nobody for you to sit and say, oh my, that kind of thing, because she has had a rebirth. So after you have gone through all of that, because it's since her depression that she became a celebrity, guys. This is a lady that has been she's a Jamaican celebrity. She has been on TV so many times. She has been featured in newspaper. She has been called up to speak all over the place because she was so brave. She did not say, listen to me, but the press and all of this happening, and I've had a lot of people are ashamed to speak of them having brushed with having suicidal thoughts. A lot of people do not want nobody to know that they have been there, because of course there's a stigma. And if you tell your story, somebody whisper, oh, she may want to kill herself. People don't understand these things. Normal people feel these kind of ways. And so, Kadene, here you are, a true picture of beauty. You and Alisha, the multi-talented lady, coming out to tell people that, listen, depression and mental illness is not the end. There's life after. And so I want you to tell us about your rebirth. That's what we want to hear this evening.
I want to say that there's life during and there's life after when having the brush with it. So when I started therapy, by my therapist gave me assignments and everything, and after going to probably the second to third session, she was like, "No, Kadene, I'm seeing something coming up in you, like something. The first session you looked really like, this is it, but now I'm seeing the light coming back in your eyes and all of that." And one day I just said, I think I need to share this. I feel like this needs to be shared. And I was doing my YouTube channel, Wine with Kadz, and I did a session on my art journey. And someone reached out to me and said something, "I need to see you on TVJ." When I decided that when she said go on TVJ, she sent all my information to TVJ. I was like, all right, this is going to happen. I had no idea. Like months after, I was like, okay, probably it's not going to happen. And then they called me. When they called me and asked me for my biography, I did not intend to talk about depression. I did not intend to talk about depression at all. But when I started writing it, I realized that this was a part of my story. And this was why I was painting. And this was why I was painting what I was painting. And so I put all of that information in there. And from my Smile Jamaica interview, it went on to the Gleaner, to the Mirror, and so forth. And coincidentally, I had reached out to a photographer for the Rebirth video, reached out to the photographer, reached out to my videographer, Pratt. And I gave them the idea. That was way before I even thought about Smile Jamaica. I gave them the idea. I said, where everybody's going through the pandemic, so many people are experiencing depression, anxiety, all sorts of issues right now. So many people are not sure what's going to happen after this. So I want to use this as an example that, while we might feel darkness right now, there's going to come a time when we'll find light. And I explained all of that to them, and they were like, all right, Kadene, we're going to do the photo shoot. I called the videographer. He did what he's supposed to do, and we just put it together. And the way it was done, one day I was here and I was crying. I think it was a day after therapy. I was just here crying out of nowhere. And I'm not somebody who cries. I cry probably like once a year. I don't cry a lot. Yes. And so I was crying and I just took out a pen and a paper and I started writing. And that was the first part of the video that I was sharing. It was like I wrote that letter. First I was saying, this is it. I'm going to just end my life. And as I started writing, it turned out to be a letter to God, like, I need you to help me out of this because I can't do this anymore. And something said to me, record it. You're going to probably lose the paper, so record it, because sometime in the future, you are going to need to remind yourself of where you're coming from and how far you have grown. Yeah, and how far you have come, how much obstacles you have overcome. You are going to remind yourself of that. I had no intention to go on Smile Jamaica and share my story of depression. I had no intention to put a video out. This was just for me to say, remind yourself of what you've gone through and how God has taken you through it. And I mean, Hillet, I did not know that sharing my story on Facebook, sharing my story with other persons would have led to this. And it's just amazing to see how many persons would have reached out to me afterwards, persons who I know who have reached out to me and said, Kadene, I'm going through the same thing. And your story has allowed me to realize that, there's light at the end of the tunnel and it's not the end of the road. I did get some flash, when the Gleaner paper came out, because the Gleaner title was really out there. And some persons like, pretty girl like you can find my husband I'm married to, where you talk about suicide. And I'm like, anybody can go through, anybody can have suicidal thoughts. It just take the right amount of stress. The right amount of stress can get you there. I mean, mental illness is just a chemical imbalance. And environmental factors. So I mean,
sorry, Kadene.
Yes, I'm saying it can happen to anyone. So I don't stigmatize. I don't have a stigma against persons who are going through. I'm very understanding. I have relatives who suffer from schizophrenia and they function. You never look at them and know that they have it, and they function as. And I think that's why I'm so sympathetic towards persons who have mental illness, because I'm like, they're people like us. And it's just one situation that caused that. And once you're able to cope and function in society, You're
Yes.
good.
Wow. Listen to me. I'm looking at the time and it's supposed to be an hour. And I know we're going to go over a bit because there's some things I need to cover. Stacey Thompson, she's asking, how do you confront a friend or family member who shows signs of bipolar diagnosis to get help? And I'm going to ask Alisha to answer this because that's her diagnosis.
Oh, it's really hard to confront a person with the illness, especially if they're going through the hypomanic episode, because they can be super irritable and they can take things personally. But you have to wait until the person is at the place and you sit with them. And the first thing you need to ask them, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Show concern, show love, tell them that you know what, I love you and I want the best for you. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And if you feel like the person is a threat to themselves, there are ways that you can have them 302 if you're living in us in the US without them knowing, so they can actually get emergency treatment and emergency care.
Wow. Right. All right. I hope who's that? Stacey, I hope you got your answer because we have to wrap up. I'm so sorry, guys. Listen, this evening has been awesome. Of course, it's incomplete. I just, I think I'm a wise person, but obviously this shows that I didn't really see. I know that you guys had so much to share, but for some reason I thought it could be done in an hour. Reason Bloom is saying I'd love to see the video. Kadeen, I'm gonna tell you guys where you can find these ladies. You have to feature them on your channel. If it's a channel, if you have a program, you can contact them. These are ladies that are there willing and able to be a source of inspiration. Obviously, when God said, Kadeen, this is there's a scripture that says what the devil means for evil, God means for good. And this evening, our ladies are showing us that, listen, these things are not sentences according to Alisha. This is something that we can use to inspire and to help others. And certainly, God certainly doesn't give us more than we can bear because you are not just dealing with it, but you are helping others. I am so proud of you, ladies. I appreciate you coming. I love you both. And I am inspired. So we have Breathe and Bloom. She's still here. She said, I thank God for sanity, for not giving me more than I can bear. Some of us couldn't handle it, Breathe and Bloom. That's the truth. So we salute these ladies this evening with their beautiful crowns. And persons, Stacey said, thank you. That mean her question was answered. Teacher Higgins is saying, amen. Be Love Inc., my favorite twins. Listen, guys, you have to watch the space. They'll be here soon. Wow, this was so good. Thank you so much for sharing. So many of our ladies who are in the chat will be featured here. We have so many. We have a lineup. Trust me, I don't know when I'm going to be finished talking to all these beautiful people. Probably I'm going to have 2 episodes per week. Anyhow, my ladies, we're here. And I want you to tell our audience, based on the conversations that we've been having, we're speaking about mental illness. And I said depression and anxiety. Obviously, there's more that you have addressed. And I just want you to say to the audience, obviously God is in your lives, working, doing amazing things, keeping you going. There are persons who are having different shades of depression, different shades of mental illness. What would you say to them to inspire or encourage them? Or if they have persons in their families, friends, whatever it is, what is your last word of encouragement? Because you've been dropping a lot of encouragement. And we're going to start with Alisha. What would you say to our viewers or listeners who are here this evening who are dealing with this issue or have persons who are dealing with it?
So first, I would like to say that mental illness can affect anybody and everybody at different stage, at different levels in your life. It's not a death sentence. It's something that can be treated, and you can live a normal and a healthy life. You can be successful with mental illness. Listen, I have 3 children. One is a straight A at Temple on a full scholarship. One is straight A at girls, and the little one who is 2, he's the smartest little thing. You understand? There are historical people who had depression. Abraham Lincoln, who was the 16th president of, he suffered from depression all his life. He was known as the most depressed person. A lot of historical people have depression. There's a lot of celebrities, people who own TV station, people who are artists. My second video is going to be about celebrities who have bipolar disorder, so people can understand that this is not a death sentence. This does not stop you from achieving your goals. You can be whatever you want to be with a mental illness. It's just a little bit harder than if you didn't have the illness. You have to work a little bit harder, push a little bit harder, and fight a little bit more just to get where you need to be. But you can get there.
Wow! Thank you so much. Love it, love it, love it. And Lady Kadene, go ahead. Give your final statement. And you see, I'm sure we have seen that meme that says when
Let me go quickly.
Yes. Satan don't want her talk, because he know that she's here tearing down kingdoms.
I
These
didn't
women are so
hear it.
powerful.
I didn't hear what you said just now, but I'm gonna be quick. Right. Yes, I'm saying that. Okay. So I'm saying just be kind to yourself, be kind to others, check in on your friends, even though they may appear strong. There's so much that you go through, and stay healthy, get enough rest, because when you are exhausted, it can always trigger a lot of things. And try to stay positive, get as much sunlight as possible. Even if you don't have anybody around you to hug you, hug yourself.
Mm. And Kadene, in one of your videos, you spoke about getting a massage.
I hope you got that.
I wanted to talk about the massage, but obviously we are out of time. But guys, you can find these ladies. Kadene's channel is Wine with Kadz. Wine with Kadz. When we're done here, please go over to our channel. We have to watch before we subscribe. Please watch our video, like it, comment, subscribe, guys. You cannot miss out this awesome opportunity of subscribing to this wonderful lady's channel. She's fun. She has all kind of things that she feature there. And of course, Alisha Zaz Holistic is for Alisha. Alisha Zaz. Persons here, follow her. Spell it for them, Alisha. Somebody write it in the chat that we can put it up.
It's ALESHAZAZHOLISTIC. It's Alicia's Holistics. It's not Zaz, Alicia's. I just spelled my name with a Z.
All right. Yes, guys. So you have to follow them. Listen to me. I am leaving here inspired. These ladies certainly, they've made my evening. I am just happy that I've had the awesome opportunity to have them here. And I have to acknowledge Shanna Samuel. She said, wow, awesome discussion. I learned so much from you ladies tonight. Thank you, Hillet, for the opportunity. And we had a discussion and Shanna said to me that, listen, I am a good subscriber. You don't have to tell me when to watch your videos because she has me on notification. I have to acknowledge her. Hats off to her. We have persons joining from the UK. At this hour, it's morning in the UK. I cannot express enough thanks to Speaking Grace. Oh my gosh, I love these ladies so much. I'll be having them sometime, guys. You can't wait to meet them. They're from Nigeria, but they're in the UK. We have people chosen by Grace. When you're in the chat, just go ahead, take note and follow these persons. Go to their channel, watch the awesome stuff. My girl Truvel, Inspired for Purpose, definitely. Power of Prayer Ministries, Jasmine, guys, Jasmine gonna come on. Jasmine is instrumental in a lot of things for me here on YouTube, and she was here earlier on, and I know she has shared the live. Thank you, and I appreciate you, Jasmine. My friend Jocelyn Cumberbatch, if we are to be truthful with ourselves, we all have mental issues. Just theirs is on a different level. We have to be sensitive to people's conditions, pray for and support those who need us. Listen to me, guys. If you're here, Donna Williams, oh my gosh, I am more than inspired. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, coach. And we have the very supportive teacher S. Higgins. She said, I was enlightened. If I'm not acknowledging you guys, it's because of the many chats. But thank you so much for joining. I appreciate, I love you guys so much. Don't miss next week. Next week, we'll be having Dr. Hope Reed. For those in our YouTube family, you know Dr. Hope Reed. She's a chiropractor, and she'll be talking to our ladies next week about spinal hygiene. Never heard that term before. You don't want to miss it. Some of us as queens, we have to get our spine up, looking like the queen we are. Don't miss it next week. Dr. Reed will be on. Renee Ellis, my cheerleader friend, sister, she said, another awesome session, queen. And I have one last thing that I want to say to my beautiful guests, my ladies in the chat here, my ladies who I have on here. You cannot keep the story to yourself. Obviously, we are not able to capture everything on or in an interview. I want to encourage you both to write your stories. I wouldn't be a book coach. I wouldn't be true to you if I didn't encourage you. I need to see your stories in a book because many people won't catch this discussion, but when you have it in a book, you'll be able to have it all over the world, inspiring people. And I'm sure persons here would love to benefit from your words of wisdom. Sharita Austin, wow, thank you so much. Love you guys. We have to go. We have to go. God bless you all for joining tonight. Sister Teacher S says, oh yes, I love Hope Reed. Hope Reed is awesome. You can't miss her next week. Thank you. Thanks for joining. See you next week. Remember to keep your crowns straightened. Have a wonderful week. Happy March. Blessings and love.
Good night.